So you start connecting to this, and you open up to this. You'll grasp it with this inner and outer and understanding. I'm going to put some music on in the background while I'm talking here. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, awesome. Give it a little bit of a different energy coming in, and expressing to that whole concept I'm talking about. I'm really going into some deep concepts here. And today is Source Core Plasma Realizations Moments 12. So another day, another moment into this expression, creating momentum, creating this interlinking of expression to the totality that you exist as in this moment. The higher self, the different names that people give it, are just a way to identify to an aspect of yourself. If you just see it as another piece of the puzzle, then you don't get it. If you see source energy as the whole puzzle, now you get it. Because as being a whole puzzle would mean that you can experience each piece of the puzzle and how it's put together, already knowing how the puzzle's put together. So now you've opened up a direct link to this source energy, and so now you begin to get this streaming information by moments in its fully harmonized state, its full expression. So ideas expand off of not only this dimension, but all dimensions, all planes, all octaves, all existences. And so that idea that's coming in is an idea, it's a multi-spectrum idea with infinite possibilities and potentiality and power behind it. Because it's in its purest state, its purest form, which makes it very stable. It's not about to explode. It is already in this pliable state to where it's in complete divinity with your thoughts, with your feeling, with your expression. It's our power. It's our source. That's what we call source energy. When we look at an energy source, we look at where the source of the energy is coming from. So there's a source to this. There's a structure of such infinite power that literally turns on the whole spectrum of the universe, the whole spectrum of experience. So that energy must be very, very stable for it to do that. In order to power a whole star system, everything is dependent upon that source energy. If that source energy didn't exist, everything would just not exist. Because source energy is the force, is the full expression that governs every moment, governs every part of creation. So now you begin to think for a second, because then now you start connecting to that consciousness. And knowing that you are source energy, you can travel back to that very beginning point of expression and interlink to this moment. You've made the journey back home consciously. So by consciously making the journey back home, so to speak, you're bringing source energy to the singularity point of consciousness. So when you do this, you are being empowered with this stable energy, which creates integration. Ascension is integration, descension is fragmentation. So we're opening up to these core plasma realizations and connecting deeper into these moments of reflecting each point of consciousness. It's an amazing time, but not in the sense of it just being an amazing time. The sense of the amazing time is the moment you realize who you truly are, the reflection of it of who you truly are. Because what does that really mean? Who are you? Well, are you your name? Are you your clothes? Are you your financial stability or your financial disability? What are you exactly? Well, if we break it down, we go back to the core of it all, and we realize we're energy. Then we let our brain kind of saute that thought for a second. then we realize, well, if we're source energy, then we must also be everything else around us in all moments. So your interlinking process starts to take place, and you really start to understand that you are intelligence communicating with intelligence, and you can talk to a tree, and you can hear the beautiful expression the tree has in that moment and connect to the library of information that it carries through its own experience, its own level of expression. Well, you start to do this with the tree, you start to do this with flowers, you start to do this with actual math. Reason being is because you're seeing that you are your own teacher. If you're the ultimate reflection, then you are the ultimate teacher of your own experience. That doesn't make you the teacher of others' experience, because they still have their own ability to reconnect to source energy. They don't need you to show them what's right, what's wrong, do this, do that, let me teach you this, let me teach you that. The only thing you do is you express your connection to source energy so those sentient beings can have an example to connect to source energy of their own and on their own, and open up a new expression level through their words. Something similar Jesus did on this planet is he expressed. He was an expressionist. Being an expressionist is much different than being a guru, being a teacher, being a coach. A teacher or a coach, those terms mean that they've studied a subject longer than you and they have more information than you do, which would show how that defies source energy, because source energy is everything and information is available to all sentient beings that are plugged up to source energy. So then a teacher would show that there is separation in the mechanics of the actual interlinking process, where the student feels less superior than the teacher and always going to feel themselves as being the student, and that teacher is always going to be hovering over them, knowing something more than they do. Source energy does not operate that way. Source energy expresses source energy. Source energy allows that particular singularity point of consciousness in that moment, reflect on that information, reflect on that energy, reflect on that vibration, reflect on that frequency, and then it comes back and it connects back to that other point. It's having a conversation with itself, in other words. So it allows that to just happen. Through that, you interlink to your expression, your fullness, your totality. See, it's different when people come together and they're streaming information, they're connecting to information, they're interlinking through experience, through expression. This is a very, very balanced and harmonized way to communicate, because it doesn't create a barrier block. It doesn't create this blockage from the very get-go. It doesn't create this finite school system through this new age process to be dominant, because you are expressing yourself from source energy, from your perspective of source energy. Even if people have different ways to express themselves and they start going into the religions and they start going into the things, then one can say, if you are separating yourself into a subject, into a label, into something that has to contain source energy and not allow it to expand, would show that that particular concept creates descension. By creating descension, again, you're creating levels of separation, levels of fragmentation. So think about this for a moment. Source energy at its highest point, source energy goes down to this lowest point, so to speak, this third density point. So it's fragmented all the way from all those different dimensions, different existences, different planes, different octaves, etc. And so by the time it gets down to third density, it has these octaves here. So now not only does it hit third density, but it hits down every single octave in its fragmented state. So it's fragmented all the way down to the lowest point of third density. When it hits third density, based on the constructs that are here for separation, all the expression that expands that separation, when it hits third density at its lowest point, it also fragments into even tinier things. It goes into these subcategories of separation. Starts going into racism. It goes into jealousy. It goes into all these different labels, and it fragments itself, and you wonder why this planet is so jacked up. It's not just from this perspective. It's from all the way from the top, all the way back down to the bottom. You have to look at it from all of those angles, because if you don't, you're fooling yourself. You're not seeing the whole picture. You have to see every layer, or at least feel every layer. And by feeling every layer, you're connecting to it in a much more profound way. And by connecting to it, you're going to be a lot more open up to your level of connectiveness, your level of expression. Let's see what happened here. I lost, there we go. So this is this omni source core plasma, this infinite source core plasma realizations, where these interlinkings take place. So from seeing from this perspective and seeing from each layer, you now have to see things as a scientist, as an observer. So if we go into third density and we look at it from the standpoint of logic, because we still can see logic as a perception, as a perspective of perceiving things, because we are still here in third density. That's part of third density, would be logic. So we can take this and we can start breaking it down into this equation that starts to make sense on how you can perceive each dimension, each layer, and how to see if you're separated or you're connected through this concept, this principle. So if you see that you from this point of separation, and you can see every little particle that you're separated from, whatever labels you're giving it, then you can start going through these different layers, and you can start cleaning up, so to speak. You start harmonizing that energy. We're harmonizing that energy, or we're deharmonizing that energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all moments. That's either it's harmonizing or it's deharmonizing. So when we start to realize the potentiality that we exist as, we start on this first layer, then we move to the next layer, then we move to the next layer. What eventually starts to happen is the momentum builds up, and then you can start really integrating these layers that you fragmented yourself from at very rapid speeds, because you're gaining momentum. You're gaining stable momentum, which is expansion. Expansion of the purest expression of this infinite omnipresent source core self. This energy expression is quantifiable expression. So you're connected to, and you can see time and space as something that is easy to move, or like for instance, a clay potter with being able to mold clay and all that. You see energy the same way. It's very moldable. It's very commandable. You can direct it with your hands. You can direct it with your consciousness, because it's you. Fully realized, fully actualized, fully internalized, which creates this integration process, another way to explain it. Taking you further and deeper into that, into these moments of self-expression. So going further into the show and bringing a different guest on to speak about different things, not only different things, but really going into new layers of what this show's about. Introducing technologies, introducing these different principles, introducing these real-life experiences, and being the scientist and showing you exactly how to be the scientist as well through your own level of expression. teaching you how to be your own teacher, really, is what's happening.